State of Florida.
I rise today to fight for working families and businesses. Congress is D.C.'s legislative body. It says right in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 reads, Congress shall have the power to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district as may become the seat of government of the United States. This means we have a constitutional responsibility to fight for those living here in our nation's capital, just like any legislator should fight for the people living in their state. That is why I'm bringing this resolution to the floor today. The D.C. City Council has decided to deny the people of D.C. the benefits we passed in President Trump's working families tax cuts. That is absolutely absurd. These tax cuts, like the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and the senior tax deduction, are especially helpful to families struggling to get by and those starting out, trying to make a better life for themselves. It helps the thousands of service workers here in D.C., the law enforcement that protects us every day, and the grandparents who are watching their grandkids while their children are at work. It lets them keep more of their hard-earned money. But the D.C. Council has decided to benefit from these people instead of helping them. They've decided they deserve these people's money more than the people do. This isn't right. Not only does this hurt people by preventing them from keeping more of their hard-earned wages, but it also hurts the economy and will end up hurting the city as a whole. When I was governor of Florida, I cut taxes over 100 times through tax cuts just like the ones in working families tax cuts. As a result, we turned the Florida economy around. We added nearly 1.7 million private sector jobs. We paid down a third of the state's debt and actually invested a record amount back into communities and public services. Instead of people leaving the state to find a job that allowed them to support their families and live their American dreams, families started coming to Florida to do just that. By cutting taxes and regulations and letting Americans keep more of their hard-earned money, we can turn this economy around just like we did in Florida. That's exactly what President Trump and Republicans are trying to do. I meet with businesses and hardworking Floridians often. They talk about the impact no tax on tips and no tax on overtime are already having. They talked about how they were able to plan for expansions and more hiring, creating more jobs that would support families and give back to their communities. This is the kind of growth and support that D.C. Council is denying its citizens and small businesses. Biden and Democrats' inflation-causing policies are still being felt, especially by those who are already struggling to make ends meet. President Trump and Republicans are doing all we can to make things better, affordable, and lower costs for these American families. We do that by cutting taxes and regulations, not by denying people more of the money they've earned. My resolution would reject this policy that would crush American families, workers, and businesses. I urge my colleagues to do our constitutional duty to the people of D.C. and support this resolution. I move to proceed to Calendar 315, House Joint Resolution 142.
The clerk will report.